something that kind of altered my brain. It led, unsurprisingly, to a very heated debate about AI. Here is that tweet. The first 3 paragraphs of a ChatGPT review of the Rachel papers by Martin Amis. Quite amazing. I think you could submit writing.
And then the other thing too is like talking about, critical consumption and whatnot. What you see a lot is people going, this is AI, or like this AI slop, AI fake, because it's the AI brain, right? It's this AI brain where now there's this inability there's individuals like not having the ability to create anything for themselves, and therefore thinking that no one else can do that or does that as well. And it is AI is making people dumber. Yes, we've talked about this. Like AI is making people stupider. And I think it says a lot about somebody who is out there looking at everything, pointing to everything, going, that's AI, that's AI, that's AI. Like, is anything real? At Grok, is this real? Grok, what is this real? What does this mean?
Of this standard to a magazine and get published. Took 3 seconds. This feels like the setup to a joke because
I see it the same way I see cheating in a video game. You're just cheating yourself. Where's the satisfaction overcoming a level or in beating a personal best? Yeah. Yeah, you really are depriving yourself.
When you actually read the ChatGPT review, it doesn't take long to A, tell that it's AI, B, realize it sucks, and C, learn almost nothing about its topic. In the replies, James Marriott backpedals a little bit when everyone pretty much unanimously says that it's hot garbage. Yo, this is a great example of what a bad writer's idea of good writing looks like. I don't think it's good writing. I'm just amazed at what ChatGPT has become capable of. It's much better than when I last tried it a few months ago. You just said, I think you could submit writing of this standard to a magazine and get published. You absolutely thought it was good writing. I don't think getting published in a magazine is necessarily the benchmark of good writing. And what's your point? Because it's not even close to bad writing that you'd see in a magazine. No one would print that without heavy editing. It doesn't even make sense. There are some people who seem to share James's amazement, though. It's the end game for creatives, so utterly depressing. What do we do instead? Yes, I feel very sad about it. Become a plumber or something? Okay, let's take a brief look at the writing in question, then I'll get to my point. This review of a book from 1973 has a lot of adjectives. It sounds very smart, but it really doesn't say anything. It's a clever, cold-blooded debut dressed in the anarchic tones of youth. It announced a talent not so much emerging as already armored. Usually when you say not so much emerging, what, it's already emerged? But already armored against what? What? Technically alert, linguistically omnivorous, and philosophically caustic. Throughout the review, it's just listing a lot of things with adjectives that sound smart. It just sounds extremely pretentious, like no one would print this because it sounds like a student trying to sound smart. Like, what does linguistically omnivorous mean? You eat a lot of books? The result is a prose style that feels both effervescent and effortful. Effervescent and effortful are just such different things, but because they sound or start similar, then I guess it's supposed to sound good.
Me when I'm trying to fulfill the word count.
Charles's journal is filled with lexical excess, anatomical scrutiny, and a relentless auto-analysis that verges on the clinical. So these 3 paragraphs, on the surface level, it sounds like smart words, smart writing. It doesn't build anything. It's not even like making a claim. But really, this whole situation cracked open a broader question in my mind and sort of unlocked what has troubled me so much about AI in the past. The question is, who is this for? And I mean that on a commercial and on an artistic level. Like, what's the point of any of this? Anyone who's interested in a Martin Amis book from 1973 would find this review poorly written and have plenty of real reviews to choose from, or they'll already be biased against AI and avoid it anyways. Fans of AI and LLMs, learning language models, might be interested in the writing, but won't have any interest in what it's actually saying. Which again leads me to some broader questions. About a week ago, a clip went viral from UCLA's commencement ceremony of a student seemingly showing off that he used ChatGPT to complete his final assignment. As you'd expect.
That is so crazy to me. It's crazy to me how, I mean, what that is cheating, and you're just like bragging about it at your graduation. And that's wild. Like, that's really wild, because back in my day, when you cheated, you kept that shit under wraps. You weren't out like bragging about it, but because it's AI, and because, well, everybody uses AI, and AI is a part of so many things now, there's like no recognizing towards that being cheating. I doubt they
There was a lot of outrage. People saying his degree should be revoked. Other people being like, what's the point of college anymore?
Even cheating should still be hard.
This is maybe the least surprising thing I've seen ever. For decades now, higher education has been disintegrating, cost inflating, the humanities eroded, the concept of education for education's sake, a thing of the past. How quaint. Right? None of this is surprising or new to anyone living in 2025. College is for getting a job. I graduated from UCLA in 2022, the same school as the ChatGPT kid here, and I see AI and its widespread use in academia as inevitable. In fact, I think it's the perfect escalation of what's come before. So the question in this instance of who is this for is pretty clear. It's for people who need to bullshit their work at 11:59 p.m., something I used to proudly do without AI. A few months ago, California State University announced that ChatGPT EDU will be provided to all of their 23 campuses. All right, as long as it's free, I guess. $16.9 million. At least they'll have it forever. Over an 18-month period, at least they're doing well enough financially to afford all this. A $375 million budget cut that will result in larger class sizes, decreases in course offerings, and a reduction in faculty and staff positions. When teachers are teaching with ChatGPT and students are learning with ChatGPT, we can enter a frictionless wonderland in which universities can stop paying teachers, extract money from students, and ship those students off to a world that can't use them. Imagining this frictionless future.
I cheated and still got an F. Oh, brother.
Useful exercise, I think, when grappling with that question of who is this for? Because to me, it seems like students are worse off, teachers are worse off, the university is worse off, but ChatGPT and all AI companies seem to be better off. They're making bank off of people who, A, genuinely love the technology and can find a use for it, and B, people who are too scared to be left behind. So much of the backlash to LLMs and AI is based in fear, but so is a lot of the praise. I've posted a lot of sketches on this channel, making fun of AI people, the whole craze, all of it. I'm sure my stance isn't surprising to any of you, but it's kind of telling that the battlefield isn't around genuinely useful uses of AI, especially in medicine, technical writing, you name it. There are plenty of great uses for LLMs. The battlefield is about art, writing, painting, filmmaking, acting. Art is the last thing corporations can't really do for you. We express our humanity when we make art because in the utopian future for adopters of AI does everything, right? Except for certain manual labor, AI becomes the workforce so that us humans can do the fun human stuff and focus on making a better world. Yet, so many proud adopters of AI want it to do the fun stuff too. So again, I asked, who is this for? This whole question became unlocked for me when I discovered a certain YouTube channel. Let's call the channel Mr. Pee Pee Poo Poo. First off, I don't want anybody to be harassed inadvertently. Also, I don't want to give his idea.
Excuse me, there is a Mr. Pee Pee Poo Poo out there, and that is called You Are Doing Harassment.
Any more exposure than they already have. He's a relatively small channel devoted entirely to writing AI. Doesn't seem like a bad dude, just seems like someone with some bad ideas. Mr. Pee Pee Poo Poo, I'm going to have to just stick with that now. He proudly teaches people how to write fiction with AI, the tools you need, the process. He writes his own fiction with the assistance of AI. He claims AI is just a tool, just like a pencil. You see, to him, writing by its very nature is algorithmic. Language is just an algorithm. Why not use AI to do the boring part of writing so you can focus on the fun stuff? What is the fun stuff for Mr. Pee Pee Poo Poo? World building. Crafting a big old world. We love world building. Who doesn't? And the boring stuff to him is the actual writing. He actually, in one video, he says that the least important part of writing is writing the first draft. I think most people would laugh at this because I'd say like 99% of successful writers say that they labor over every single word. They love language, It's like saying you love to paint, except for the part where you actually put paint on the canvas.
Also, writing is hard.
Yet, Mr. Pee Pee Poo Poo's comments section is filled with grateful people.
Writing is a process. It is very hard. It takes time. It takes labor. And when it's great, it's great. The moments of writing that are super fun when you feel like, oh, I've had a breakthrough. Oh, I look at this thing that I wrote. But it is very laborious because that's part of it. Even the greatest writers, it's labor. A lot of writers will tell you that not every moment of writing is enjoyable because of the laborious element of it. And it's one of those things where, look, I am a believer of like people having more access to be able to create things, I don't want gatekeeping. I don't want it where only if you're wealthy, if you have resources, then you are a lot, then you get to be a person who gets to create things. But also, not everybody can do everything. I think that's important to recognize. Like, I am not a person who's ever going to be an amazing, I could get better, but like painting, for instance, that's just not something that I can do very well. Like, I'm just not gifted with that. And I can take classes and I can get better, but I think it's like what we're getting, what we're kind of blurring together is this belief that we should make things more accessible, and that, art shouldn't be something that is gatekept, that is only available for those of, a certain class, but then not confusing that with like, oh, well, okay, I want to be a YouTuber and I can't write my own YouTube intros. And so I'm just going to use AI for it because it's a tool, because everybody should be able to do this. And it's like, man, just do what other people do and study YouTubers. Like, work on how can I write a better YouTube intro? I want to be a YouTuber. Great. Then put the work that it requires to get better at doing something like that. You were talking about wanting to learn photography. So much of the fun of it is the process of finding and capturing images. Yeah, and I like, in my mentality, I wouldn't go, okay, well, I can't do this thing, so I'm just going to AI generate photography images and be like, great, I did photography. Because one, no, I didn't. I would not feel any satisfaction from that. I would not be like, look at this amazing, thing I learned. But two, like, I'm not a photographer. I have never learned to do photography. And so I wouldn't go, well, I want to make money on photography right now, so I'm just going to generate these images and sell them. Part of what makes AI so insidious is how it targets people without wealth and ends up broadening the inequality. Worst example for me is that AI therapy is so ubiquitous and dangerous because real therapy is so inaccessible. Yeah, I mean, that is a dangerous way that AI is being used. But again, real therapy is so expensive. Like, it is a problem that we have no mental health care in this country. So people are resorting to using AI therapy.
Truly grateful people who are passionate about writing that one book they've always wanted to write. Finally, to them, art is democratic. Anyone can fulfill their dream and make a few bucks. Mr. Pee Pee Poo Poo has addressed criticism of his outlook very sincerely, and so much of it resorts to the type of fear James Marriott has of AI. He believes this is the future of writing. Better to get with the program than to get left behind. In one video, he gets asked about the logical endpoint of using AI to write books. If, like he says, AI is constantly getting better until one day it will need very little input to create a brilliant work, then what is the use of writers? What is the use of the craft and job and fantasy that he sells to people that they can do? It's so interesting because he gets genuinely reflective in his answer. He looks kind of worried. He admits that yes, one day you can instantly make a book tailored exactly to your preferences, like with the stroke of a button. By his logic, in the future, there's no reason to seek out writing from other humans. You have all the books you could want, perfectly tailored to your own taste. Yet he still argues that people are going to want human connection. That's just natural. Humans want human connection. So instead of writing books, He says that humans will serve as brands. They will market their own AI slop to others. They'll have a platform, and all writers will simply be marketers, salesmen for their own flavor of AI slop.
Yeah, Sam was telling me that
Any published
about Adobe
writer
as well.
I've ever seen complains the most about having to market their own work. He's trying to be realistic about the future, but to me, this exchange is just making me optimistic. I don't think I've ever...
The bullshit fast track to fame and success that's going viral has poisoned people's minds into thinking that developing a skill and following in the traditional way is too slow to admitting defeat. Well, that's why I'm like, a lot of these people who are talking about, well, AI is democratic, okay? Oh, you're just a gatekeeper. Oh, well, now, shouldn't we all have the tools available to us to make these things? Those are people who I don't believe actually had this genuine interest in, say, making movies or, say, making music or making YouTube videos. I don't believe that. Like, I think that that's just an excuse that a lot of people who are pushing AI and pushing it and pushing back against anyone's ethical considerations and like, these conversations around AI's use in art by being like, oh, well, you don't think that the masses should have access to tools to make this more equal. Like, I really don't think that a lot of people who are, on Twitter bragging about, oh, look at this thing that I made with Sora, actually ever had any creative drive to make what it is that they're now bragging about having made. Like, they don't care. They don't care. To be fair, since the boom of streaming, it feels more and more like Hollywood has seen an extreme influx of people born around 2000 or so that aren't going into acting for the craft and art of movie making either. Well, we were talking about that before, where people were like, okay, well, what about look at these bad movies that these studios are making. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that is another conversation about the way that capitalism also ruins art, and how, you look at like the Disney, the Snow White Disney movie, and how that was just so cheaply done. I don't mean budget wise, it was a big budget, but how there was no consideration to like genuinely good storytelling and making a movie of quality. It was just, let's get this out so we can make money.
Ever been more optimistic about the future role of art than I am
grab my water
lately, because it all returns us again to this question of who is this for? Who is this for? It's for Mr. Pee Pee Poo Poo. It's for people who want to make art but don't have the drive, who don't have the time, who don't want to pursue that. It's for people who want to make money off of writing a book, thinking a million other people don't also have the same idea. There is something in the air. I feel the change coming, a change in the way we relate to AI and specifically language learning models. John Oliver, just the other day, did a piece on AI slop, specifically video and pictures, and a big conclusion they came to is that AI slop is everywhere.
Oh, I actually want to watch that John Oliver video.
There are tons of people trying to make a profit off of making it. AI isn't for viewers, it's not for readers, it's for creators. The James Marriott AI experiment didn't impress anyone because no one of his audience, I imagine, wants to read that. The ChatGPT UCLA grad angered people because he's just cheating himself out of a good education. All right, my sincere prediction is that AI writing won't meaningfully impact art and human-driven writing. It will be sold as it is now as a means for people to fantasize about making money, or, as a fun little curiosity, a hobby for people to read their own book that they're too afraid to write themselves. Maybe I sound too optimistic here, but I believe art isn't going anywhere. It's the one place companies want to dominate, but they can't. Genuine human creativity is and will continue to resist this. When I see people watch a bad movie, usually one of the first things they say out of the theater is, it felt like the script was written by AI. We view art, we experience art, we go out of our way to engage with art because we want something new. We don't want something recycled. We're going to keep doing that. I've been discussing all of this without even touching on the ethics of this technology. That was deliberate on my part. I mean, you could go in any direction with this. The topic would have consumed this entire video. Regardless, science has faced similar ethical problems in the past, and I wonder if we can't look for examples in the 20th century. In Kevin McKay's feature-length documentary, 17 pages, he re-examines the legacy of one of the biggest scientific controversies of the 20th century. The ethics over a single biology paper, just 17 pages, permanently altered how scientific misconduct is investigated. It's a fascinating story and a brilliantly made documentary from the person you might know as Bobby Broccoli. This, along with a ton of other exclusive content from your favorite creators, is available on Nebula. Nebula is the largest creator-owned streaming platform in the world. It's where all your favorite creators like big...
The moment you walked away, dude, in the video said exactly what you said about a lack of creative drive in AI enthusiasts. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all know that that guy on Twitter who has a profile picture of like the Doge dog and who is like talking about how actors won't be needed anymore because look at this thing that I just made in Sora. That is not a person who has genuine creative drive. That's a person who's just trying to like have a viral tweet and be obnoxious, frankly. AI is directly destroying entry-level jobs in every field, like photography. You take many things that you would learn as a trainee, or you spend and get paid on all these trainee-level things are done with AI. Entire floors and office buildings are empty because no need for entry-level jobs and to seat them. Yeah, and it's funny because the idea of like AI democratizing art making, but yet ignoring how right now, like the actual careers and industries where working class people most, you know, are the main, are mainly on the receiving end of being replaced by AI. Like that doesn't feel very democratic to me.
Big Joel, H. Bomber Guy, Hello Future Me, create exciting new content. Nebula is growing fast as a streaming service. You can watch brilliant video essays and my 30-second shitpost. There's a ton of exciting original content being produced, from Jetlag to Abigail Thorne's Dracula's Ex-Girlfriend. Whenever I get a minute to relax, instead of browsing Netflix for hours, I pull up Nebula and I can usually find something great to watch in like 2 seconds. If you sign up using my link at go.nebula.tv/mancarryingthing,
and I genuinely think like people are going to respond to like how the public views about something or views something. So if people just don't care enough about AI, if there's not pushback around its usage in across industries, you know, not just in artistic fields, but like everywhere, then there's this idea that like, oh, well, no one gives a shit, so who cares? Like the fact that AI is the dirty little secret in Hollywood in that it's being used a lot more than is being made public because it seems to be responding to this attitude, like these cultural attitudes of like, who gives a shit? You know, well, if people don't care, if people don't care enough about things being AI generated, then I guess we'll just do this.